Oh man. The whole point is to share it on here.
Oh yeah, that's right. Embarrass the shit out of yourself.
Keep the conversation, as random as possible.
And you're doing a fine job on your end.
Man, that I love my new intro. Yeah, the last intro I had was decent, and it's nice to go back and see that intro. But I put this one together from ground up, and including the animation, which is, believe me, it's like middle school animation. But the music and the scenes are just fantastic. And it gives me a lot of, I don't know, I just feel good about it. So it's always nice to start these shows off with that introduction. Thank you guys for tuning in for another episode of Stardom right here on JG's Lounge with our fellow admin, Ev.O.Lution. Man, how the hell you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. It's been a good day. I got some sleep.
Sleep's good.
But yeah, man, a lot of interesting things occurring around the nation and the world right now. But life is good right now. Life is good, and hopefully in a couple of days life will get better. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Agreed. Man, we're doing so good. We got spammers hitting us up in the comment sections over here. You see that?
Uh-huh.
Says, I'm Chapon, a professional podcast promotion expert with 8 years experience. If you want, I can promote your app, blah, 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 blah. Anybody that's a friend of mine that listens to what we do, this is straight up spam. This is pay me and I'll get you the views. No, that's bullshit. That's straight up spam. So MD Chapon, no thanks. We're good. I appreciate you commenting on the show at least. So it's funny. I was thinking about this the other day, and JG's Lounge started October 22nd of 2019. So we have hit 5 years doing this.
Congrats, man. That is awesome.
It feels freaking great.
and it's funny because JG's Lounge started on October 22nd. And That's Life started on October 21st. So just got 1 year under the belt. So the next milestone is January 1, which What's Going On started. So,
and it's happening, man. Everything's going good. Things are going good with what's going on. It started out kind of a little bit of bumps in the road, but now it's just cruising on the freeway, man. It's doing good. You've improved drastically doing this, which I think, having kind of a background in kind of the industry of music and stuff like that, you kind of already sort of had the vibe for it anyways. And after you did a couple shows, you're like, yeah, this is for me, let's keep going.
Yeah, well, thanks, man. I'm glad I got the opportunity, and definitely feeling more comfortable with it. So I'm looking forward to the next year.
Right. So I did pick a topic tonight that I think we can both relate to. And actually, I know that we both can relate to. I got some dad quotes from some celebrities. They're pretty comical. But I'm going to read them, and you and I can kind of break them down as to our views of being fathers. Maybe give examples or whatever we want. And yeah, so I think let's start it out with sort of kind of, when you first found out you're pregnant or you're going to have a kid, what was it a planned thing, or was it not? Kind of, what was your reaction? Because I feel like dads and fathers are all different reactions.
Yeah. Usually it was like an announcement made, and it hit me off guard because I'm thinking about so many other things. And then I hear, I'm pregnant, and I'm like, it's like the world's moving at 1,000 miles per hour, and it just comes to a complete stop. Right. And I'm like, oh crap, that just changed everything, right? So the perspective or the view of that was literally going on prior to that statement being made just completely and totally altered to a whole nother shift in focus, to where it wasn't about what was going on seconds ago. It's about what's coming in a matter of 9 months. So,
Yeah.
so
I-
that's one of those things when you get that information, basically life alters immediately, and you just have to get the energy from somewhere, get the focus from somewhere, and
Mhm.
start preparing for what's coming.
Right. No, and I agree with that 100%. I think for me, so for both my kids, I wouldn't say we definitely weren't planning, but we weren't really not, prepping to avoid it either. So when I found out both on both of them, it was more of just a sweet, like awesome. But
Mhm.
you're like that immediate, like, okay, whatever I want to do right now, I need to focus on what's coming up here in 9 months. Like you said, like I
Mhm.
stepping up to be a dad, or am I just gonna be a piece of shit? you know? Mm.
Yeah.
And I think that has to do with you're in a relationship with a person or if you're just fooling around too. But
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
and for me it was a huge eye opener. I was there for the birth of both the kids. And I was not squeamish. I think the hardest thing for me when I'm in the room is like, what am I supposed to? I know I probably shouldn't be playing video games. I probably shouldn't be, whipping out a deck of cards, asking if she wants to play some cards. Because I mean, it's more like, what do you
Right.
need? I'm gonna go lay over here, but if you need me, you give me. Like your responsibilities don't exist during that
Yeah,
window.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and you mentioned you didn't get squeamish, dude. I felt like, I know it wasn't possible to look that way, but I definitely felt like I was turning green
Mhm.
and started getting a little lightheaded and weak in the knees. So I sat down and tried to play it off, but I know the people that was in, looking at me was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I'm
Oh,
good.
all right.
I'm good."
No, I definitely had that kind of moment too, which actually one of the things I picked is kind of on this subject, so I'll hold off.
Okay.
But yeah, let's get into these. We're gonna do one at a time and kind of give our views on it, just like we do with pretty much everything we do.
All right.
All right, first up, raising kids may be a thankless job with ridiculous hours, but at least the pay sucks. Good
Oh
old
man.
Jim. I
Yeah,
think
this
there's a
the
lot of reality to that.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Uh,
Go ahead.
Especially the ridiculous hours part,
Uh-huh.
because it's a never-ending task that seems like it lasts forever, even when the kids get old.
Oh man,
uh,
I think that like and it changes. Like the tasks are just as crazy, just in different avenues as they
mhm.
develop and grow.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and I think some of the biggest ones for me, especially is like for the little kids who can't drive or anything, or um, it's so frustrating and ridiculous when they're sick and
Oh
then
man.
they're not sleeping right, and
Hmm.
then they're vomiting and shitting
Yeah.
on places that aren't the toilet. And you know,
Oh man.
and they ain't cleaning it up, so it's like, it's
Yeah,
3 in
it's
the morning, I gotta be up in 2 hours, now I gotta clean this mess up.
yeah, the pay sucks. Especially when you compare Father's Day to Mother's Day.
Mhm. Oh,
I'm sure there's a lot of guys out there with fish ties that they're like, okay, I grind all day, every day,
mhm.
all year long, and this is what
Yeah. I
this is what how I'm appreciated. And
s
then go ahead.
I think that, so while you mentioned, like, Mother's Day and Father's Day, I think there's a huge difference. Mother's Day wants you to get everything for her without her having to tell you what it is, and if you don't get it right, then she had a shitty Mother's Day. For a guy, it's like, I'm literally just trying to chill.
Hmm.
Why just let me chill. Like,
Hmm.
don't get on to me, don't ask me what I want. I just wanna relax.
And yeah, for real, you work hard all year long. You're stressed. You're dealing with all this stuff. And then you have a day where you just want to kick back, kick your feet up, watch TV, snack, eat a meal, whatever. Just basically do nothing. Don't be hounded or hassled. You just want to just be left alone.
And those are some of the best days when like you have a crazy life and a very hectic, you know, just run around 6 days a week. Because even for me, my 2 days off, one of those days is usually set strictly for appointments for me or the kids or any of the priority stuff that I can't get done when I work. So I really only get that one day to really try to relax. And even then it doesn't really.
Yeah, because it ends up not being a full day. You know?
Right.
When I need time to rest, I just make that announcement. So look, I'm exhausted. I'm going to my room. Don't bother me. If somebody knocks on the door, turn them away. I'm turning my phone off. Just let me get my rest. Don't bother me. Let me come out before you talk to me.
Really, right. You remember like in did you ever go to like daycare, like or before school or preschool?
I did not. I never dealt with daycare.
So I remember daycare having nap times, and I'm like, man, if dads could have nap times, just a scheduled 1 hour nap time every day.
I got nap time. It just wasn't scheduled. I would just doze off wherever the heck I was.
Right. I'd love it, man. I would love to get some nap time.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into this next one. Men should always change diapers. It's a very rewarding experience. It's mentally cleansing. It's like washing dishes. But imagine if the dishes were your kids, so you really love the dishes.
You see me shaking my head as you started reading?
Yeah.
That had to be a statement written by someone who wasn't a
dad. Good old Chris Martin. I'm not sure who you are, but man.
Is that Chris masculine or Chris feminine? I'm thinking it's Chris feminine.
Well, I'm thinking when I wash dishes, I wash them pretty aggressively. So I think imagining that being my child, I think there's scenarios where I would love to just aggressively give my child a bath.
I'm gonna be honest, man. There were days where I knew that the kid or the child had done something, and I realized before the other party, and then I made myself busy somewhere else, so I didn't have to worry about it.
I'm just gonna wait.
No, I just did something else and got away from that aroma, and then let the other party find it, and then they had to deal with it.
There is certain things. I think being a step parent, it's difficult because there's situations that have occurred that I feel like should be a dad conversation to have. And I don't mind being the one giving it to him, but I try to let like his actual father have the opportunity to do it. Only because we are civil, we get along enough to kind of talk, and so I try not to be I try to be a father figure without him asking me to be, and then I don't get in the way when I think it's something that his dad should have the opportunity to do. I can't promise. I can tell you right now that his dad doesn't do the things he should do all the time. And I'm not. I don't think that's my spot to be the one to tell him that. But I'm always there when he needs me. If that makes sense.
That's a toughie, and I think a lot of guys may struggle with that. But I always looked at it as me doing the responsibility, regardless. If that person didn't want to be 100%, then I took the challenge, or I stepped up to do the 100%, whether they did anything or not, because I wasn't thinking about the other person or the actual biological father. I was thinking about that child.
Right.
So if the child is with me the majority of the time, then guess what? When the child looks at you, they're gonna call you dad, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I stand on that. If the other party does something, great. Uh, if they don't, then okay. I'd rather them not do anything than to scar the child. You know what I'm saying?
I
Uh,
gotcha.
but if they're gonna do something, let them do whatever they do. I just don't want them to do something and then have a negative effect on the child, like have them hurt or upset.
I just
And
want to. I
you
just
know what
want to say
I'm saying?
we currently have 107 people viewing us right now.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
What's happening, everybody? Joining. I'm not sure how that happened, but that went up real quick. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
You got
To
108
JJ's
now.
Lounge. We are
Hey.
talking about dad quotes and some of the things that we've done being parents. And we are more than happy to have you guys in the comment section. So feel free to jump in those comments and join in the conversation. All right.
Mhm.
We currently are talking about sometimes when the kids get in trouble, how do we handle it? And the quote we're talking about here, I'm going to repeat it since we got so many on here. Men should always change diapers. It's a very rewarding experience. It's mentally cleansing. It's like washing dishes, but imagine if the dishes were your kids, so you really love the dishes.
Mentally cleansing? Are you kidding me? What the heck?
I don't know if you've ever changed a kid's diaper, but it's the most
Uh,
disgusting thing in the world. I remember I was waiting. I was waiting for an appointment or something. I was sitting on a bench holding my kid,
Mhm.
and my kid crapped, which is what kids do,
Yeah, they
and it
correct.
oozed out of his diaper down
Ah,
my arm, running down my leg. I
mm,
don't have a change of clothes. Then I had to
nice.
go to the bathroom and like clean him up, clean me up. And it's like, if I wasn't a father, that would have really grossed me out, especially if it wasn't my kid. It was my kid, so it wasn't as bad, but still, it's disgusting.
Yeah, that's like the worst thing that can happen.
When I was a baby, I guess I had slid downstairs with my diaper on and just shit all the way down the stairs.
Nice.
But yeah,
Uh,
what you got?
oh, you know, I guess when I was dealing with that, it was always when I did have to do the diaper change.
Mm-hmm.
My fear was, what am I going to see when I unveil? You know what I'm saying? You knew that there was an odor,
Uh-huh.
that there was, it was something there, but is it going to be solid or is it going to be, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not solid. So
Oh
that was
man.
that was always my fear. I'm like, is this going to be a quick, and doable process, or is this gonna be a time consuming?
You run through a whole package of baby wipes
Oh,
just for
oh
one
man,
one change.
oh man, you're holding your nose. You're hoping your food stays down. Yeah, yeah.
Let's get on to this next one. Let's get on to this next one here. This says buying your kid a goldfish is a great way to teach them about responsibility for about 24 to 36 hours.
Yep, because that's when the goldfish ends up probably floating on top of the water.
We had at one point we had a fish tank with betas in it.
Mm,
And we had two beta fish, which you guys know are the ones that you get on the counter, those little at the pet store.
mhm.
Um, and we took it home. We had two of those. Then we won a goldfish at a carnival, so we brought it back to the house and we dumped it into the tank with the beta. That was the dumbest decision we could have. The betas tore that freaking goldfish
Mhm.
up. And my kids, one of them actually was more interested. The other one was very upset.
You know, that's the story you have to tell about. What is it? The cycle of life.
Yeah. I'm sure I'm gonna butcher this name, but Shagufta Iqbal. If you aren't a spammer, then hello to you. If you are, then I butchered your name either way, so I'm sorry. But thanks for tuning in. Yeah, man, it's That's a good way to explain it. I think that giving kids chores is probably the most interesting thing too. Like when you give your kid even a simple task, like, hey, make sure you get your laundry in, like, because my kid has his own laundry basket. Hey, just make sure when it's full, go do a load.
Right.
I swear to God, it's like 3 piles next to it while it's overflowing. I'm like, you realize if you just filled the basket, that's one load. And you take it back. You're making it harder for yourself.
Yeah. Actually, I never had to deal with that. My sons are pretty good with certain things, and I showed them how to use the washer and dryer, and they got a kick out of it. So I'm like, good, I'm done. As long as they don't tear anything up.
That's right.
Overuse the laundry detergent, I'm good.
Right,
so
man.
They're pretty good with that. The only irritation I have now is like when I need to wash my clothes and their clothes are in there.
Right.
Get your stuff.
And they let it sit too. Oh my God, man. That moldy. If you guys do a load of laundry, don't put a load in the washer and think I'm going to come back tomorrow and change it. Because then you got that mildewy smell and then it starts to linger. You can't get rid of it. And it's so much easier to just do the damn laundry as you're doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the machine does it for you, right?
And then there's the other household chores like taking out the trash, or like we have dogs and like we'll have my kid pick up the backyard once a week. And it's not a hard task. It would maybe take 10 minutes each time, but I forgot. It's every week, man. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, that I forgot needs to be removed from your vocabulary.
Well, when you do stuff, yeah, go ahead.
So when the kid gets hungry and I'm hungry. Oh yeah. I forgot to go get the groceries. So
we as parents, and since we're talking about being fathers and some of these father jokes, need to discipline our children. And I'm not saying whoop your child. I'm just saying have rules and hold them to the rules. I hired a kid a while back and I asked him to take out the trash and he asked me how to do it. And I've never been so mind boggled in my life that an 18-year-old kid didn't know what it means to change a trash can.
Wait a minute. Hold up. They were 18?
Yeah, they were working, man. They were at our job. Like,
oh my goodness.
And it was just like a quick, hey, change the trash cans out for me. And he like turned around and he kind of walked towards the trash. And then he turns around to me and he goes, how do I change it?
Ooh.
I mean, that's not, I feel like
that's being
kindergartner could have done that.
Yeah, that's being pampered way too much.
Oh yeah. And that kid didn't last very long, but it just shows you that a lot of us parents, I think, utilize technology as an escape for us. And please, chat room, people that are watching right now, jump in here. Let's be a part of this conversation. But it's so easy to give your kid a tablet if they're annoying you and say, go watch your tablet or go play on your tablet, or hey, here's my phone, leave me alone for a while. It's an easy escape, and it sucks that it's that easy because I've done it. But I also discipline and give rules and ask them to get things done and use that as a source of grounding. And, it does help.
Yeah. I mean, I get that, some things you just like, you know what, go play your game. Cause if you continue down this path, my temper just going to keep going up and up. So I don't want to go that route. So I'll just get this done and get it over with, do it the right way. And, we'll come back to this later.
Yeah. That's how I feel too, man. Next up, we have having children is like having a bowling alley installed in your brain.
Okay, I can get with that.
Yeah, no, thank you, Martin. Well, that makes sense. I used to go bowling a lot, and I can say that the racket that it makes from all the lanes Not having the opportunity to really focus is a big thing when being a parent, especially when it gets into those ages where they're not quite in school, but they're getting there. So you have to just make it another year or two. My God, trying to get silence in a house with your kids is impossible.
Oh man. And I'm gonna analyze that a little bit differently because you know how when you're the person with the ball and then you roll the ball
Right.
and you hear the ball rolling on the ground. Yeah, that's tolerable. You can tolerate that, right?
Yes.
And as a father, our tolerance level is not that long. We have the moment to where when like the ball hits the pins and that loud noise clangs, uh, that's it. You got about the length of that bowling strip. When it comes to dealing with your dad, from the time the ball leaves the hand and the time the ball hits those pins, that's your time frame. Once that ball hits those pins, that's when dads react. Like, you know what?
Right.
When you hear that, go the other way.
Well, and that's the other thing. Like you can get your kids to do things, and then you get so excited. Like, man, I taught them that. I did that.
Yeah.
And then you like praise them, and then 10 minutes later they go and just say, "I don't feel good," and throw up on the living room floor.
Yeah, just took a high moment way down.
Yes. Man,
And,
I'm so proud of myself. I'm so proud of my kid.
you can't, they're not feeling good, so you just gotta clean them up and put them in bed. Usually, give them something to hopefully knock that stuff out and move on. But yeah, it's a mess, man. That's what dads and moms are for, I guess.
That's true, man. I think here's something that I think is different from men and women, and this is nothing against anybody that's tuning in that's a female or a male. I just based off what I do know is that when those bowling pins are knocking and there's so much happening in that brain, and you're just like, am I gonna strike out or does it have to roll again? Am I taking another hit? Men, I think, react differently than women do in that moment of stress. And I mean that in the sense, at least from my point, and some other men is like, okay, what do I need to do to calm this down? Where women tend to get more frustrated about the fact that the noise keeps growing. I'm not saying that's for everybody. Don't get me wrong, but I do feel like that's something that does differ between most men and women.
I think it's the fact that men are usually focused on direct reactions or factual reactions, and women are usually emotional. They kind of just don't go direct. It kind of goes around and then finally connects where maybe where it should go. And so when I was talking to a couple of women, your statement reminded me of this. I was living in an area and I had to get my hair cut at a beauty salon because that's the only place I knew to go, right?
Right.
And you wouldn't believe the conversations that I heard. I mean, I thought sailors talk bad. I'm like, my ears are bleeding. Stop. But
thank you so much. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, we're killing on views, so thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I was trying to explain to them, because they asked, well, what do you think? Why is it this? Why is it that? And I was like, well, guys will say everything they need to say in one sentence, maybe two. Women will say everything And by the time they get to the point, we're not listening anymore,
Mhm.
because it just goes on and on and on. And we're like, it's not, we're not, what do you call it? We're not wired that way. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Uh, if we want the facts, we want straight nuts and bolts, we want direct line of communication. It's like
Right.
the stars are out. Great, you know? And then when the other party responds, well, I went out the door and then I went around the house and then um, I went to the mailbox and talked to the neighbor and then I went back to the backyard because I heard birds chirping and then I looked to
Mhm.
the trees and the leaves were falling and then while I was looking at the trees, I noticed that the sky had stars and the stars were out. Why didn't you just say that the stars?
What?
What did the rest of that crap have to do with this? I don't need all that. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
so that's kind of an example of what I was telling those women in the beauty salon. And it was almost like I was talking a foreign language
Yeah.
because they didn't get it.
Mhm.
Okay, we're wired differently. We're wired differently.
Definitely. I definitely agree that we're wired differently. All right. Next up. My 4-year-old son gave me a handmade card for Father's Day. Maybe for Christmas, I'll draw him a picture of some toys.
That's classic. I love
That's
that.
good. That's good.
It might not go well with the kid. I love that. That's awesome, man. That's the thinking of a dad right there.
That's the dad. That's definitely a dad reaction right there, man. What
That's
you didn't
awesome.
wait? You didn't like your drawings?
You'll get some attitude on that one.
I
That's
don't. I
awesome.
don't think mom would allow that one. To be honest with
Now mom's gonna be ticked out too because she's gonna have to deal with that as well.
you. Right. I've had the drawings, which are sweet,
Mhm.
but yeah, for Father's Day, I don't think that it's gonna cut it for me. I mean, it probably would,
No,
depending on the age of the kid.
yeah, because I'm thinking mom's gonna get ticked off because the baby's
Uh-huh.
upset, and mom's gonna draw a picture of something else, if you know what I mean.
Right. Yeah, that one wouldn't go down too well on several
No.
levels.
It'll be
Definitely,
a good
definitely
laugh
words of a
for a
dad.
minute though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely good words for a dad. I mean,
A-
that's a
a-
straight up father right there.
Absolutely.
Next up says I learn things from my kids constantly. Most of their knowledge comes from Snapple caps.
A lot of people may not know what Snapple caps are,
Right. I think that goes back a ways.
but Snapple was a drink. It might still be around
It
somewhere.
is.
But if you
Y-
pop the top and look in it and read it, it's just some
Random facts.
yeah, right. So that's why I laughed so hard because it took me back for a minute. But
I think
yeah,
it's relatable now because now it's TikTok or
yeah,
Instagram or
absolutely.
that's where they're getting the knowledge from. And then like if
Hmm.
it's a trending thing and you know about it, you're like, no, no kid. No,
Yep,
that's not how it works.
right, right. A lot of things are being missed because that's how people are getting their information. And I guess you and I, we're from the group or the generation where we were hands on.
Right.
Uh, we learned how to use our hands and our physical uh, abilities to make things or put things together, or
Right.
just play outside if nothing else. Right uh,
Mhm.
now, a lot of things are technical, so
Oh,
either it's on the phone or the internet or combination of both, or video games.
right.
Everything is visual, it's not physical.
Right. And then I think that's really where things are now. It's like, oh well, they say this or they said this, or did you hear the news said this? And it's like, it wasn't even the news, it was just some blogger they watch or some TikTok content
Right.
creator telling them, and then like, no, they're right, they're good people. I haven't. And it's like, you don't even know who the hell they are. Like, what are you doing?
Who the heck
I
are
do
they
know,
for
I do
real?
know who they are. They're sweet cheeks 37, and that's their name.
Somebody's being catfished. Oh man, that's crazy.
Information highway, man.
Mhm.
Misinformation highway is what it is.
There you go. I mean, it's great information out there if you're looking in the right place.
Right.
But even nowadays, when you look in the right place, you find a bunch of clutter. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? It's ridiculous. You try to go search something that you're interested in looking at or trying to find out about, or even if you're
Mhm.
just trying to get some work done on your house or your car or whatever.
Right.
You go, you search it, and all this crap shows up, and next thing you know, it's like you spent 30 minutes and you got nothing. you know, and then
Um,
go ahead.
did you have a drink or something that you collected? I remember Snapple caps being like, people would collect them.
hmm
I remember doing it with like Tootsie Pop wrappers for like all the stars on the Tootsie Pop wrappers.
hmm
You could collect them and turn them in and get more. Sobe had a drink that was pretty popular for a while, and I like to collect those ones too.
One thing that I remember collecting, I don't even know why we did this. You know the old style bottle caps that you have to use like a bottle opener
Yeah.
to take off. You got the little ridges on the side.
Mhm.
Uh, we would just collect those because we used them to play with. When we didn't have nothing else to do.
Right.
But we would collect a bunch of those and just make things with them, or just we just did weird stuff. We were weird kids, but yeah, we would collect those, and once we grew out of it, we just stopped doing it. But
Right.
that's one of the things we collected. That's about the only thing I remember collecting. With those little bottle caps.
Yep. I remember that. I knew people who collected them. I think that was actually a pretty normal thing back in the day.
hmm hmm
And I think some people still do. Not too many. But I remember collecting pocket knives and those Sobe bottles.
hmm
They were glass bottles. They'd have different like images on them. So that was
hmm
fun for me. I like to collect those. And then I think that's it. I think that's all I collected. Can't think of anything else. I wasn't into like cards or anything like that.
Neither was I. And I know some people collected comic books and things like that. I didn't do any of that either.
Mm-mm.
I was just more into active things like sports and
Right.
stuff like that.
Yeah, I gotcha. Let's get on this next one. We're doing pretty good, man. I had 10 of them today, so we're doing actually really good on time here. And I
Sweet.
really cannot be happier with these numbers. Thank you guys for
Absolutely.
watching this. It feels good to have so many of you watching. Again, feel free to join in the chat. Evolution and I are here to answer any questions, unless you're just a spammer. Then we'll probably talk crap to you for a second and kick you off, but it's all good. It's all good, man. It's just good to have people, watching us while we're live. It feels good.
Absolutely.
This says you have to be adaptable because they consistently keep changing. They'll do something that blows your mind, and then they'll spit all their food on the carpet. Yeah, yeah. We kind of talked about that, but yes, 100%.
Yeah, being a father or parent period is constantly adapting to whatever creative or what do you call it when the child is growing up?
Developing.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Developing attitudes. The things that they learn every day. Dude, I still can't believe this. I'm gonna tell everybody about this. My son one day, I think he was like 3 years old. I'm at work. My phone rings, and I say, "Hello, it's my son." And I'm like, okay, where's your mom?
Mhm.
Oh, she's in the other room. I'm like, well, how did you call me? He's like, I know you don't know my number. I just pressed the redial button. I'm like, wait a minute. Dude, to
Right.
this day, I'm still tripping out on that because kids
Uh-huh.
pay attention,
Right.
and you don't really realize how much they're watching you and how much they pay attention. But you know, he was very young. I didn't even know he knew how to use a phone, which I don't think he did. But he knew enough to pick the phone up and
Well, and
press
I
readout.
feel like we're talking about an age too, where it's like, so there's that gap between when they're starting to walk and talk,
Hmm.
and understand to them going to school. There's that little window
Hmm.
where it's just like they're wanting to absorb everything,
Yeah, yeah, and
and
they
it
do.
doesn't matter which kid they absorb literally everything you put in front of them. So I think that's a very crucial time,
Hmm.
especially when they have questions. I see people ignore their kids all the time. They'll be on their phones, or and the kid will be asking a question about something, and they're just like, yeah, whatever, and they're not even listening to what their kid's saying.
I gotta share
And I
this, dude. I'm cracking up.
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. I gotta share this because I actually saw this on YouTube as
Uh-huh.
we were talking about that. But there's a husband or a father and a mother in the kitchen,
Mhm.
and the child comes in and asks the question to the father. She's like, "Dad, uh, how come you don't know Grandpa's name?" And the dad was like, "What do you mean?" Um, and the kid says, "Well, last night you kept asking mom, 'Who's your daddy?' Who's your daddy?'"
Oh my god.
And the mom was drinking something and she spit it out and she just had this look on her face like, oh my God. But kids, that's that age you're talking about. They pay attention to everything. And we
Mhm.
have to be mindful of that because things like that can come up.
Right. And then having that conversation well,
That's when you say, like, go play in your room.
yeah, just change the subject.
Yeah. Oh my God, this is crazy.
It is crazy, man. No, for opening doors, I think something scary for me was when the first time one of my kids opened a door, you know,
Mhm,
to stairs or anything, and you're just like, man, they could hurt themselves. And it's like,
mhm,
okay, now I have to lock, baby proof all the doors,
mhm.
because my kids get smart. Make sure the cabinets don't open unless you push a latch on it, just to make sure
Oh,
the
yeah.
kids can't open the drawers.
Mhm,
And so then you get into that protective state because it's all part of their curiosity. What's in this? What am I grabbing? How does this
mhm.
feel? What is it? What am I doing with? Like literally every aspect of what this object is, that kid wants to know.
Yeah, and they do weird stuff, man. It's like they wanna stick everything in their nose. What the heck? I don't know if you ever dealt with this before, but, um, I found like, the buttons that are on your clothes?
Uh-huh.
One day I found a button, like, way lodged up in the baby's nose, and I'm like, "Really?" I mean, I'm glad they didn't swallow it and choke on himself, but I'm
Right.
like, I noticed that the breathing was a little weird,
Right.
and, then I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Seriously? Of all the things to do, you you're gonna stick a button way up in kids do the darndest things, and they say the darndest things, but that's them, like you said, developing,
Mhm.
and their thought processes on a different. It's
Right.
it's 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 out there, man, because of how they view as a child. But yeah, it's crazy, man.
There's that reminds me of this. Have you heard of the cartoon Home Movies? It was popular like 20 years ago, 15, 20 years, like
Ah,
back when I was in high school, middle school. It's like an animated, chalky kind of cartoon where like the bodies are moving even when they're not moving,
mhm,
kind of
mhm,
animation. And there's a
mhm,
scene where the older brother is watching like the baby brother, and his mom's on the phone saying, "Hey, this is an important call, so don't bug me." And so the older brother's watching his little sibling, and the sibling takes a marble and shoves it up its nose. And the older brother's like, Mom. And she's like, I told you I'm not an important person. Just shut up, you know? So he starts to whisper. He's like, Mom, he's put a marble in his mouth. And the mom's just like getting so irritated because he's trying to say something's going on. He doesn't know what to do about it because who shoves a marble in their nose?
Right.
And eventually the mom comes and gets it out, but like it's just like this buildup of aggravation towards her kid because she's like, I told you not to do this, and instead you're doing what you're supposed to do.
Right.
That's what that reminded me of. Man, that scene was so funny. So kids do things that I think are equally as frustrating as it is impressive.
Okay.
Like sometimes, like when they get sick, it's like, how did you do that? How did you make that mess? Like, I'm not understanding how there's a trail of feces from your bed to the bathroom. Like, why did it take that? Yeah, what's going on here? So it's stuff like that, and it's impressively disgusting.
Right. Oh my
All right,
goodness.
let's get on to the next one here.
Okay.
Oh, well, the numbers dropped down, so something tells me there was something up with that. But anyways, I hate when new parents ask who the baby looks like. It was born 15 minutes ago. It looks like a potato. Kevin Hart. If any dad or if any dad or mom didn't get the opportunity to see their baby come out of a womb, they look like aliens. They do. There's like things that people don't know about. People who aren't parents and haven't seen it, like the bone structures and everything are so soft that they kind of like adjust to come out of the womb. And I remember having one that literally looked like a freaking alien that came from another planet because it had like this cone head. And like it just, oh no, it's just the walls. So they had to like push through. So the baby's head just kind of, it'll go away. But like that initial moment of them coming out is sometimes terrifying.
Well, yeah, because we have to keep in mind that they're in a liquid, so the skin, we know what happens to our skin if it's in water too long. Like if we're in the pool or the tub too long, our skin kind of does a little wrinkly thing, but whatever. But that's like 9 months of that, right?
Right.
So when they do come out into the open, they have to make a lot of adjustments. And, one is they're usually freezing cold because they're in this warm environment. And then once they get the baby all cleaned up and everything, then you can start to see the actual features of the baby. So yeah, I definitely get it, man. It's all about growing and from the time that you realize that you have an infant coming, it's a constant growth.
Right. It really is. And I don't think you can really prepare to be a parent until you are one, because the emotions and everything behind it aren't something you can explain. You just have to experience it, man.
It's like a rite of passage, man. It's like it's a boundary or a bridge that you cross, and from one side you can have all these expectations or thoughts of how it should be or what you think it all entails, but once you get to the other side, you're like, holy crap.
Right.
What the heck did I get into?
Exactly.
But once you cross that bridge, you can't go back, man. And it ends up being a great experience, but just a lot of learning and growing as a parent as well.
Oh yeah. I think growth and finding what works and what doesn't. I don't necessarily think that there's a right or wrong. There's clearly a wrong way to be a parent. I think there's multiple right ways to do it, though. I think that my way doesn't have to be your way. because we obviously all think differently. But I think as long as the training that you're doing for your child is to kind of prepare them for the real world, and you are at least guiding them through it, then you're doing a good enough job. I mean, whether you're a quirky, sarcastic father who acts like a child, as long as you're spending just as much time training them and teaching them, that's good. If you're kind of a hard ass and you have rules and disciplines, and I can't hold that against you, but I mean, make sure it's to benefit the child's outcome when they're walking out your doors for the last time, not living with you anymore. The least you want to do is know that you taught them enough to where they can at least get a good foot out there in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's multiple, like you said, ways to effectively raise children in a manner that they end up well-to-do or just good citizens or whatever. Because character doesn't have one way of doing it. There's a lot of different characters and a lot of different ways to reach people.
Right.
You can reach them through, like you say, sarcasm. You can reach them through kind of joking around and then say, hey, seriously, let's look at it like this, right?
Right.
Or you can be a little bit strict, and those are methods that they're different methods, but at the end of the day, they all, I guess, serve the same purpose if they're done right.
Right.
Will it affect the child differently? Absolutely, but when you think about life, you're going to go through all that stuff anyway, right? You're going to
Right.
deal with other kids in school that are being bullies or picking on you or being forceful, or aggressive. You're going to deal with kids that are timid. You're going to deal with kids that are playing jokes on you or just wanting to have fun all the time, So you're going to experience that one way or the other at some point in life, and then it just develops you even more to learn how to deal with those things.
Right. Definitely. All right. We got 2 more left. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Why do they call it rush hour when nothing moves?
That's funny.
Good old Robin Williams. That's definitely something a father would ask on the drive home.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely a father statement, especially if he's behind the wheel. I think initially rush hour is when people are rushing to get to work or from work to get back home.
Yeah.
And because of the time of the day, there's so many people in the process of making a transition from home to work or work to home that they're in a rush to get there.
Right.
And then when you meet on the highway and everybody else is meeting at the same spot,
Right.
they call it rush hour traffic because it usually comes to a halt. Why? I don't know. They should call it stop hour traffic.
Stop hour traffic.
hurry up and wait. Hurry up and wait traffic. It's something else, man. But that's funny.
Being stuck in traffic too, man, is the worst.
Yeah, it sucks.
If you don't have anywhere to be, I guess it's not as terrible. But come on, man. I mean, it's not. Nothing about it is ever good.
No. Especially when you get to a certain point, there's nothing there. So you're like, why were we going so slow?
Right.
If there's nothing up here, you get to a certain point and then you just hit the gas because, I'm like, were they just playing with us?
I think the biggest thing that irritates me nowadays is the freaking sports bike people who, and I've seen this twice in dead stop traffic, where these guys in these freaking sports bicycle or sports motorcycles go in between the 3 lanes, so they're on the striped lines and they just floor it and just go down the interstate.
Mhm.
And I mean, you're talking about dead stop cars. If you were to lean one way or the other, you're taking your ass out.
Yeah.
Why are you being that stupid?
That's a great question. But I think they do it because they can. I mean, everybody's in these big vehicles and they're just sitting because they can't go anywhere. And here comes this little knucklehead who's like, look at me. Because I'm riding this thing, I can go in between you and get to where I got to go. I don't have to stop.
Right.
Just rubbing it all in, right? But
yes.
but I mean, it happens a lot. And especially, I'm thinking about the traffic in the Philippines when I was there. It is crazy. I would not drive in the Philippines. I'm sorry. I'm a good driver, but I don't even want to mess with that because you got lines in the street.
Yeah.
And people are doing all kinds of crazy stuff, man. They're making
the lines don't mean anything. Is what you're saying?
No, they're making U-turns. They're driving on the wrong side of the street to get around, and then you got all these little motorcycles weaving in between, going fast, like you said. Yeah, it's just the mentality of a person on a motorbike. I guess they can do things that the car can't, and they get away with it.
Yeah, I get it, but that also gets them killed.
Yeah, it does happen.
I've seen it. It's not pretty. It's not pretty.
Yeah, that's why I stay on the vehicle. I don't want to mess with them.
Yeah, I don't want to get on two wheels. No two wheels for me.
Yep.
Last up, just because I cut the heads off dolls doesn't mean I hate babies. I just hate dolls. Alice Cooper.
That sounds like an Alice Cooper statement.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
man.
It's a bit more over the wall there, but I had to throw it in.
That's funny.
Go ahead. You can go first. Well, you haven't had any girls though, have you?
No.
So you never really had experience with the baby dolls.
Not. I mean, I had sisters growing up, but that was pretty much what they did. They played with their dolls and stuff, and I did other stuff. I would like draw or watch TV. Go outside and throw rocks at stuff. But
have I told you my doll experience as to why I don't like dolls?
No, I don't think. I think you may have, but
so my great grandma had those life-size porcelain dolls, like those 3-foot dolls that look real, and she had them littered all over her house. She lived in Utah, and we'd go out there during the summer to see her as kids, and she had real bad Alzheimer's, like to the point where she'd ask you who you were every 5 minutes because she just couldn't remember. She loved to play dice games, and she loved her freaking dolls, man. It was so I mean, I easily $200 just scattered around her house. They lined up the hallways, they lined up the bedrooms, the guest room, the family room, the basement, dolls all on the walls, these porcelain, like life-size looking dolls. And that was scary enough. But again, she couldn't remember who you were for more than 5 minutes. But I, on several occasions, will wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning to her pacing the hallway with these dolls, having arguments. Man. She'd have full-blown arguments with them. She would give them baths and argue with them in the baths. She would tell us that she couldn't leave because one of the dolls needed her. And as a kid, that was one of even today gives me chills because of how creepy it was, man. She couldn't remember who I was for more than 5 minutes, but she gave all these dolls names. She'd get in conversations with them. She'd treat them like little kids. It was the scariest freaking thing in the world.
Wow. Okay. I see why you don't like dolls.
and I grew up with, girls like my sisters, and they had dolls, and I always remember, like, if I find them, I'd turn them around. So, like, if they were sitting on if they were on the shelves, I would turn them around where they face the walls. If they were on the floors, I would flip them over. If they were real creepy and I just didn't like the doll, I would throw it away and not tell them. but just there's something now. There's just like this feeling in my head that there's these dolls got something going on, and it just creeps me out.
Well, especially if she could remember all the details about the dolls and nothing else. That's interesting.
It was very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, when she'd give them baths and stuff, she would treat them like her little kids. It was the craziest thing, man. And again, and I only saw her till I think she passed away when I was like 14.
Mm-hmm.
So that stopped. But I was young, like it was for several years while I was young. And I remember always having fun in Utah, but I always remember how just creepy that whole situation was with the dolls.
Yeah, that's a lot of dolls.
What is your biggest fear? And is there a reason behind it?
My biggest fear. I have several. Afraid of heights. I really don't like spiders at all. And I think that's the majority of it. I'm not really a pet person, even though I can be around people's pets, but I know the cats. So depending on what they are, what do you call it? Cleaned up with. Sometimes it irritates my allergies, and I just don't like dogs licking on me. I don't like animals licking on me. I just when I see them licking their body and their privates and all that. I don't want your tongue on me when
does it gross you out?
Yeah, it's just irritating. I don't like it. I don't want your tongue on me. Get your tongue away from me.
Well, and more than half the time they're going and eating their own shit, and then they're going.
So. No, man, no. Just get that away from me. so yeah.
Fear of spiders, I feel is very common.
Mm-hmm.
Although I've never had a fear of spiders. I mean, I'm sure if I saw like a spider the size of my hand, I'd be terrified. But like the little house spiders have never really bugged me. But again, I feel like it's a very common fear. And then the other one you said was heights. Like for me, I wouldn't say I'm scared of heights. Like if I'm up, if I'm at a point where I know that if I fell, I'm just done. That doesn't scare me. It's when you hit that area of what, like maybe 20, 30 feet in the air where it's like, okay, if I fell right now, I could possibly live. And what kind of damage am I going to have to survive through? If I'm high enough and I know it's going to be an instant death if I fell, for some reason it doesn't scare me.
Interesting. Yeah, if I don't like being off the ground, if it's me jumping as high as I can jump and coming back down, I'm okay with that.
Planes and stuff, that all scares you?
Actually, I do okay in planes. And I actually do good on cruise ships. It's just that I don't want to be swimming in the ocean.
That's a whole nother episode, man.
If my feet can't touch the ground, I'm good.
See, for me, if it's any water that I can't see down into, that's for me. I can't. I can do it, but it really skews me out. It's like here in Kansas, there's a lot of lakes, but it's like, do you really know what all's in that lake? Like, there's something down there that's looking at your toes while you're swimming. You're like, that's some tasty looking bait.
That's funny.
But that's always in my mind, man. It's always, especially if it's water I can't see, and that bugs me too. All right, it's been a very successful, Father's episode tonight. I think we've discussed a lot of parenting things with a little comical spin on it. Had I don't think that was a record number of views, but it's the highest we've had in a while. I appreciate it. It feels good. It's great. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. and we're going to continue doing what we do. We do have things in the works for our new episode. Should I show them the logo, what we're working on?
Sure, why not?
Did you like it?
It was great. Yeah, you always do good on those designs and whatnot. That's one of your areas of expertise. So
We got Please Rewind coming, everybody. This is actually Ev.O.Lution's idea. I usually throw some ideas across his wave with logo designs and stuff. I was really trying to capture that kind of vintage-ish look, but still kind of have quality in the images. And what I did was I just took images of you and me from other episodes and tuned it, cropped it, overlaid it, and I think it looks good. I think it's fun. The idea behind it was all Ev.O.Lutions. We're going to be doing recaps on old episodes, old content that we've done that we wanted to maybe dive a little bit more on, whether it's you guys who are talking about or have mentioned things us to talk about, or if it's just something that we remember from an old episode that we want to go a little bit further in. It's a good way to really blend in just JG's Lounge as like one, I feel like, because we can talk about any of the shows on this show.
Absolutely.
What do you got on it?
I think you said everything, man. I just think it's a great idea. I think the direction that we're going and all these different podcast shows, every single one of them are original, and we come up with great content, and the people are loving it, and we're just leaving trails of smoke.
For sure, man, for sure. I agree with that. You know, we got our About That marathon coming up here soon. The Journey 2 is coming up soon, and we keep grinding. We're going to continue grinding, and it's going to continue to grow. And we'll be here. We ain't going anywhere, guys. We ain't going anywhere but up. So you guys are allowed to ride along with us. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Appreciate everybody tuning in now or later. And hopefully you got a kick out of this. And, we're going to keep bringing it. So
yeah,
we'll see you.
We'll see you guys around.
Soon. Yeah.
Have a good night, everybody.